even when you look at something like a WandaVision or a Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which were supposed to be such deep looks into the characters and kind of what they were going through, and you had phenomenal acting around. It's like, how can you look at something like WandaVision and see Elizabeth Olsen's performance and say, like, oh, that was something for a kid? Like,
Yeah,
no. You
because
know
she
what I'm
got powers.
saying? Because I mean, at the end, yeah. At the end, I'll give it to you. Yeah, like that was for the kids. Like we had to have some fun. But even like as we're going through the story, it's just kind of like no, like this is the story of a woman and her grief and her family, and that is like someone writing that. And I'll say that WandaVision did it a little bit better than. Hello, everybody. We are back. Welcome to another relaunch, another episode talking about comics, doing all that good stuff, having a good day. I am Keenan. How are you?
What up, y'all? I am LZ.
LZ, how are you today?
I'm good. You know, I had a stressful last
Okay.
week.
I was about to say, you didn't seem too sure about that. I'm good.
I'm good now. I wasn't always good this week, but I'm good now.
Okay.
No.
All right. That's
Did you,
good.
did you see any of those new announcements from Marvel that like with the Eternals clip and stuff?
Oh, yeah. I
I'm not gonna
did. That
lie.
was good.
They
That was
I think
good.
Marvel's slowly
I'm an
turning them
Eternals
into like
fan.
me too. I
I
think they're
claim
into one.
I am full fledged. I have no qualms against them. I'm ready to accept it. I'm
Yeah,
here.
I'm excited for that movie. I feel like my most excited anticipated movie for this next phase is Fantastic Four, obvious reasons. Um, but after that, I'm really excited for the Eternals movie. I think that's going to be pretty good.
No, I'm definitely excited for Eternals, Ant-Man and Wasp. I'm only excited for Fantastic Four for Kang and Jonathan Majors.
Well, yeah.
So I've got
Well,
that
yeah,
going for me.
that
He's
makes
he's
sense. Yeah.
he's got me there. But like Eternal, Shang-Chi, Ant-Man and Wasp, a little Black Widow.
I didn't know you were excited for Ant-Man and the Wasp.
It's
Oh,
my
the
like
shrink
third. I love
and the
Ant-Man.
growth. Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like he's a secret fave, very much
Okay.
a secret. Especially Scott Lang. I don't really care for Hank.
Yeah, nobody should.
um, but I like Scott. I like Raz, the guy who's Giant Man now, the Goliath characters. Yeah, that's definitely my bag. I don't know
Okay.
why I really like that power.
It's cool.
It's
It's
dangerous.
also like rarely used. I feel like they don't have that many characters
I
who
mean,
use
because I feel like who's the giant person gonna fight.
it. That's a good point. They
When
only
you
get
like,
like the super powered people who can take them on.
yeah, it's like you can't take those giant people too many places. So
That's
I don't
fair.
think
That's
for
fair.
that.
I did see though that they Marvel also announced the trial of Magneto, and
Oh yes, you're a Magneto
it's
fan.
like
How do you
it,
feel about
it's like in the comics, it's like I can never fully win. You know,
that?
it's like we'll give you a little something, but we're also going to take something away
That
because
was
what the hell has he done to be put on trial?
so. I've heard some rumors that people are saying they think he's going to do something crazy at the Hellfire Gala.
Hell no, no, no.
This is just what the streets are saying. I don't know,
I don't like that at all.
but there's also another second group of people saying that the trial shouldn't be taken so literal. That maybe he's like putting someone on trial, or maybe like the trial doesn't mean like a case that he's like doing something to show his power, or like
That
you
he's
know,
not a trial like a procedure, but like he's going through a trial of something.
yeah, trial by fire or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, his patience could be tested by everybody that's been invited at
Mm.
at the gala, so I understand that, but I really hope they aren't trying to turn him into some mustache twirling villain just for the sake of having that. I believe that
I,
Hickman would let that happen.
I was about to say I don't think Hickman's gonna let that happen. He would
No.
not. He loves Magneto way too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. I wouldn't let that happen. I'd burn this bitch down.
All right.
Comics are they something right now.
They are. And speaking of, let's go ahead and get into those, the comics of the week. So the first up on my list, now I'm not supposed to actually be kind of reading this. It's Heroes Reborn #1.
Oh.
Now, I know I said I was never going to read anything from Jason Aaron again, but this is a good book. You know?
Every time. Every time.
You know? So, like, obviously, we've been transported to some alternate universe. The Avengers don't exist, and only one person remembers that they did exist, and that person is Blade.
Oh, of course. Got you.
And so we kind of are like walking through with Blade. He is going through this world. We're seeing all the Avengers and like where they are. So we see Carol Danvers. We find out that she was never in her Kree experiment. So she is actually just like an Air Force pilot who's always getting in trouble because she doesn't do what anybody says. We see
accurate.
Right. We see Tony Stark, and he like never got the stuff in his chest, so he never turned into Iron Man, so he's just like a business guy. Steve Rogers was never found. Basically, the Avengers never formed because Steve Rogers was never found. That's like how it all happens. We actually find Thor, and like we see a Thor who's just like getting drunk. He doesn't have his hammer. Blade tries to remind him. He's like, you're the god of thunder. You should do this. And Thor's like, no, you need to get away from me. So that's really interesting. He meets Ghost Rider. It's just him going through. But it's fun. We see the Squadron Supreme. They are the heroes of this universe, and who, if nobody knows them, they are basically Justice League clones for Marvel.
Yeah.
So, but like the book itself is very fun. We see things like Doctor Doom. He has a Juggernaut Doombot that he has fighting Hyperion. Yeah, it's just like, I know we all love our good classic stories of comic books and like the heroes rising and like going through these trials and tribulations and like being dragged through the mud and all this stuff. Sometimes you just want to see some people punching a robot.
I love it. I love that.
That's really all this is. It's like pure comic book fun. So basically Blade ends up going to find Captain Rogers in the ice. That's where the issue ends. We also see like Thor finally making some thunder. We think that Nighthawk, who's Batman, he also may possibly know that the universe is wrong, and he might be the one to like help Blade and then find out who's doing this or whatever. It was fun. Ed McGuinness is on art.
Huh.
It's great.
Okay.
Heroes Reborn.
Okay. I might check it out later. We'll see.
I don't think you are, but that's perfectly fine. It's always going to be available on Marvel Unlimited in 3 months, and then you can. So there's that. I would rate this a 3 out of 5.
Okay, that's solid.
Yeah, it's a solid book. The story is nothing new. I don't really think anything super world changing is going to happen. Obviously, until like after we come back, we'll probably have a new Avengers team or whatever. But for now, it's a pretty straightforward book. But it's fun. Yeah. Next up on our list is a new book for me. It's Strange Academy #10. I have never picked up a single issue of Strange Academy. I cannot tell you who any of these characters are, what they do, what's going on, but I heard they were going to Asgard. So here I am.
Once again, they get you. Once again, they get you.
I'm very easy to please. It's a very specific taste, but it's very easy to please. So it's like, okay. So the premise of this book is like, I guess these are all the students of the Strange Academy. They're on a field trip going to Asgard. I don't know who. I think they're all kids of like Marvel magicians and things like that, or villains and stuff. I don't know if they all are, but I know they've said a couple of them are. Two of the boys in this book are actually, we find out, they are the sons of, this is a spoiler, they're the sons of Enchantress.
Oh, okay.
Never. Yeah, I believe this is brand new.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Are they like her, like real kids, or like were they magical? Okay.
So when they're on the bus going to Asgard, like there's this one boy, he's being mean to this flaming head kid. I think he might be the son of Mephisto. I don't know. I could also just be making that up. Again, I do not know who these children are. But he talks about how his dad is a villain. and like they're kind of, one of the boys like kind of bullying him about it. He's like, you're gonna be bad just like your dad. So when they get to Asgard, he's like, we're gonna see my family. We see his dad is a palace guard, and they're like, well, what does your mom do? Because one girl's like, are your dads like gods and goddesses? He's like, no, my dad's a palace guard and my mom is, but he gets cut off. And later on we see him kind of sneak away from the group. He goes into this prison, who's tied up, Enchantress. And he's like, hey mom. And it's like, oh. So
Okay.
I don't know if this book is in continuity or what actually is going on.
Okay, because that's a big bomb drop.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, she's got these two sons now. Uh, and then the issue ends with them like leaving Asgard because like one of the girls, she gets into a bar fight with some people there. And so everybody starts fighting, so they like send everybody away. So we don't really get any resolution into anything else after that, other than like, oh, these are her kids. They kind of have this moment where she's like, you need to watch out for the flaming hair boy because if he's anything like his dad, he's going to be trouble. And yeah, the issue ends. It's written by Scotty Young. It has
okay.
it has art from Humberto Ramos. I'm honestly not the biggest Ramos fan. However, I will say it's very solid here. I think his style has grown a lot compared to like what it I always thought he was like best fit for a Spider-Man book. He's got like this kind of awkward joint thing that he does with his characters, and it really works for that. His people look a lot more like people here, which is cool.
What'd you rate it?
A 3 out of 5.
That's still solid. I wonder if these kids are going to be legit hers because she also has a kid in the future with Namor in the Captain Marvel book.
Yeah.
But like that's just like an alternate future. So like I'm sure that's not ever going to come to fruition. Normally when they do kid stuff like this, they're like, oh, this is a kid from a future or something. But this sounds like these are like hers.
It was legit. Like she was like having a full conversation with them. She knew who they were and everything. She was like, "Oh, where's your brother?" And then he was like, "Oh, I was trying to get him to come down here, but he didn't want to." He says he's like, Dr. Voodoo specifically told us that you were locked up. That's how I knew to sneak down here and come see you. Yeah. So she's got 2 kids. She's a MILF.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
Next up on the list is Nocterra #3, and this comes from Scott Snyder and Tony Daniel. Now, the second issue of this book didn't really grab me. What I've come to realize is I don't think I like the main girl. She's very angry. She's like, this is the she's like very angry. It's like such a turn off. Like she's so mean. This is the universe where the sky has gone black. So in the second issue, we find out there's this old guy. He says there's apparently a way to bring the sun back. Someone is chasing after him. We find out he's lying about bringing the sun back, but there's still a way to possibly get through the darkness to go somewhere else. We get a little bit more backstory on the villain of the book. His name is Blacktop Bill. He's like the shadow creature, and he is apparently an experiment of the old guy and like whoever his scientist friends are. And he's coming to get them because he looks the way he does, and it's their fault. So he like shoots a spear through the guy's gut, and he like puts him on this car. And so humans who are exposed to the darkness end up becoming like shades, and they want to kill people. And so he's like, I am going to let you turn into a shade because I want you to go and kill your granddaughter. It's very dark. It's very dark.
Yes. Okay.
And then the main girl, who's supposed to be like the hero of this story, she's just got like a really bad attitude. She talks about how she used to be blind because of cataracts. Then she got her eyesight back, but then the world went dark again. But she's only ever seen the darkness as the real world. She talks about when she was in the orphanage, the kids used to beat her up. The nuns were really mean to her, so she like hates everybody. Her only source of happiness is her like adopted brother. And by the end of the issue, he's turned into a human shade.
Well, damn.
Yeah, so she just like really can't catch a break. I will say it's kind of exciting.
Okay.
Like there's a lot of there's a lot of action in the book. Like there's this big high speed chase that they kind of go through. They're like shooting guns. They have all these like neon weapons and bombs to like fight the creatures of the dark. And you're kind of like, oh yeah, like this is going. But everyone's just like really depressed or like really upset. The new girl, the granddaughter who's in the book, she's supposed to be like the new beacon of hope because she talks about how she was born in the world when it was nothing but darkness, and so she has a belief in the sun, and like she really hopes that we can get rid of the darkness, and she wants to go to this place so they can find this guy who can like fix everything. She's the ray of light. Oh, the ray of light.
Oh, that's cute.
Again, another solid book. It's exciting though. I think if you're a fan of these type of stories, you should definitely pick it up. And another 3 out of 5. Another solid book.
Okay,
I do
sticking
think
with it.
that I think I'm gonna see it. So this is my thing. It's an indie book, and so the way that they kind of work, it's not really always in arcs. And so I don't really know how long this is supposed to last. I don't honestly think this is something I'm going to stay with long term, but I'm interested in it right now.
Okay.
So we got that going for us.
That's a fair review.
Yeah. The next book is something I will be sticking with long term.
Okay.
The Swamp Thing number 3.
Okay.
I'm never well, it's only 10 issues, so whatever. I can't do anything about it. But I think the Swamp Thing is now becoming a book like Immortal Hulk for me. If it wanted to go on for 100 issues, I would read it for 100 issues. Okay. All right. And I just want that to be said. Ram V and Mike Perkins are on this book. We are dealing with the new avatar of the Green. His name is Levy. He's kind of just dealing with like finding out himself and who he is and like what's going on. He has this girl who's trying to help him figure out how he's transforming into Swamp Thing, and she actually gets sucked into the Green. And so he goes in there to find her. We see Poison Ivy in there, and she's telling him like something is poisoning the Green, something's trying to destroy the world. You kind of need to like deal with it, but also don't mess with me.
You gotta love Poison Ivy.
Yeah, like she's just like, let me do what I'm doing, but you need to go handle whatever the business you have. Like you're clinging onto your humanity and you need to like let it go. By the end of the issue, he actually runs into a previous avatar of the Green, Alec Holland, who has been one of the previous Swamp Things. That's really the gist of the issue. This one is really just an exploration into Levy and like his mind, and like we get to see the Green a little bit more and like kind of see that something is wrong and there's a reason why he's been the one to get called to this and be the new Swamp Thing. But it's just so good. Ram V is so good.
He is good. Like
I haven't read anything bad from him yet. I don't think I'm going to.
Nothing you can do about it. I mean, when you're hot, you're
hot. When you're hot, you're hot. This is a 5 out of 5 for me. For real.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like I'm really upset. This book is only 10 issues.
Wow. Okay.
It's moving. It's got.
They need to get him on some more stuff then, if they've got him for this Swamp Thing.
So he's doing this. He's writing Catwoman.
Right.
I know he has like an indie book out right now, The Many Deaths of Layla Starr. But I really would like to. I mean, Swamp Thing is a high-profile character to me, but I would like to see them move him to a little bit more high-profile character. Yeah, I think he'd be great for it. I would love to see him on like a Teen Titans. Ooh. Or maybe even like a Dr. Fate. I mean, he wrote some Dr. Fate stuff in Justice League Dark, but like a Dr. Fate solo and kind of just like really like doing that, carving that side out. He's great, fantastic. Pick it up.
Okay.
All right. And next up on our list is, so I actually did read this one. I kind of forgot it came out, and I'm upset because I did want to read it. But it's X-Men Curses the Man-Thing, number 1. You read this.
Yes, I did, which is shocking, right? Because like, considering none of my favorites are in this book.
I was about to say there is like no one who you like. Well, no, you like Magic, the character, not the.
Yes, not the power. Ileana. And this was written by Steve Orlando and art by Andrea Brocardo. And the art was good. And
okay.
I thought the art was good. And the writing wasn't bad. It's just I don't think I cared. I also was really confused on what was going on. So, and maybe that is maybe a testament to the writing, but I wasn't aware that this was an ongoing kind of thing. I thought that this Curse of the Man
I
thing
thought it was a miniseries.
right. I thought that this was going to be a mini series of its own, but this opened as chapter 7. So I think that it was connecting to other like mini series before.
Oh, so you gotta read like all the Curse of the Man things possibly. Oh, who wants to do that?
Yeah, I didn't know that. So I thought that this was just gonna be like a Man Thing X-Men like team up or whatever, but the other Curse of the Man thing I think also included the previous story. So I was a little lost on that. So then I figured, you know what, maybe then at least if I'm getting dropped in the middle of this, I can still kind of figure out exactly what's going on. That was not the case.
Oh, okay.
maybe I'm dumb, or maybe it just was not written in a way where you could really pick up exactly what was happening. And supposedly there's like someone called the Harrower. She like has been like using Earth's fear and like released it as gas, and then like that has created these like monsters that everybody's been fighting all around the world, and the heroes are trying to erase the fear by defeating these like creatures, and then that will make people like see that they are heroes and like calm their fear, so then that she is less powerful or something. And then like she is Swamp Thing, I guess in the previous run, I don't know what happened because I haven't read it, but I guess in the previous Curse of the Man thing. Yes.
That's a Swamp Thing. I mean, they kind of the same person. We get it.
Right. Man Thing like does some kind of spell to summon the ruler of Limbo, and summons magic. So and that's because I guess the last time that he actually got cursed with whatever was going on with him, it was Belasco, and that was who he thought he was going to be summoning, but no, it was magic. So magic shows up, and that is how the X-Men end up getting tied into all of this. She brings her Dark Riders as a team that she kind of brings together with. She said that they can get to cut loose, and it's like Shark Girl, Marrow is in it. Who
I hate Marrow.
Yeah. And again, I did not like her in this because I found her annoying. But I think that like her voice in this, I think was right. Like she felt like the Marrow I've read in previous stuff before. So it wasn't like it's completely out of character.
Okay.
I just don't like her. So yeah, it was an interesting read. I would give it probably. The art was really good. I was just lost because people would just kind of show up and there was magic stuff going on. And I was like, I don't know who any of these people are. And like the flow of it wasn't that great. So I would give it like a 2.5 out of 5.
Okay.
The X-Men showing up carried this book. There was a moment where because all this stuff is happening like globally, it's also affecting like the ecosystem, but it hasn't affected Krakoa at all. I guess when the gas and all that stuff got to Krakoa itself like already eradicated it, so all of them are fine. So there is a moment where the council of the X-Men are having like a meeting about it, and of course the summer section of Storm, Nightcrawler, and it would have been Jean, but she's missing here because she quit. They are like, we should be trying to help out there, while Magneto is like, this is not our problem. Everybody from Krakoa is fine. Exodus has a moment where he says like, we've tolerated humanity, we gave them gifts of everything, so like,
why do we have to keep solving all their problems?
Right.
I get
so
it.
Like that part was cool, but yeah, as a whole it was just.
I would really love to see more of the council on a regular basis.
I wish there was a council book. I would love that.
That would be really nice.
Council ongoing is probably how I would finally get Exodus in a book.
Yeah, because don't nobody want him on the team.
I know. Maybe trying to play my boy.
Okay. So you said 2.5. Well, I mean, if it had good art, maybe I'll read it on Marvel Unlimited.
Check it out on Marvel Unlimited for sure.
when all that happens. Okay, well that's cool. Well, keeping right on in the X books. Next up, we've got Marauders number 20. That's Mr. Jerry Duggan, Stefano Caselli. This was Storm's going away issue. She's
Yes,
no
it
longer a
was.
part of the Marauders.
And I wasn't supposed to be reading this one because I dropped it last time.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I knew that this one was supposed to be a Storm issue, and I was interested to see what they were going to be doing with her. So I did go back and get the previous 19 issue, and I read that one, which you were right, it was pretty good because
Emma wasn't in it.
like Emma wasn't when it comes away from like her girl boss moments with the Hellfire Club, then it's actually pretty good. I will say that this Storm issue, though, although it was great to see everybody has a Storm story, it kind of highlights the things that I have really noticed with Storm and why it's not that I like her less, I just like a lot more characters more. And Storm, for me, she might be like how I feel about Wonder Woman, where I think I just like seeing her fight. I think I really just like seeing Storm like use her powers and be the leader and fight. But the reading this story kind of highlighted that for me, like, there's not a lot there because she's perfect.
Yeah. No, and I think that's a pretty valid criticism about Storm in general. I think she's one of those characters where I saw a tweet about it the other day. Somebody was like, a big problem surrounds her is that no one ever wants to see anything happen to her. Like,
exactly.
So she's kind of become this like just paragon of like perfection who she beats every foe. She is unstoppable. Like, she's always right. She makes the best decisions. Like, she is great. And it's like, okay, that's cool. And that's like, what else? That's why I will say I am hopeful that with this going away issue, we kind of get to see what else. Again, I've said it ad nauseum before. It's like, we love our heroes, but we have to see them fail to make the stories actually like a little bit more satisfying. And it's like, it's been so long since we've seen Storm really fail at anything or like be in a situation that she couldn't handle. And it's great to read. Yeah. I wish you...
I said it.
But nonetheless, I will say I think that this issue for me highlighted just kind of the issue with the team structure as a whole. Like you said, we were getting a lot of those moments of like Storm doing these missions of like the Hellfire stuff, and we saw it kind of move away from a lot of those Hellfire politics, and it was like really enjoyable. But at the same time, it was like I barely felt her presence in this book really. Outside of like those cool moments, so it didn't really feel satisfying. Even with Pyro, I know that Pyro has been a member of this team since the very beginning, but every time I read his page, I'm like, when did he get in this book? Every line of dialogue I ever read of him, I'm just like, oh, I completely forgot that Pyro was here. And so it's just like, it's so strange to me that they're having these quote unquote moments, but they don't really like feel memorable in any type of way. But we'll see how it goes moving forward. I know that Jerry's doing Planet-Size X-Men. Is he still doing Marauders too?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't think this book was canceled or if it's done now or something. So I think it's still going. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see how it changes. I will say that though.
I hope Iceman leaves too.
Yeah, I would love for Bishop to do something.
I love him. And it's time for Iceman to do something.
It's the Kitty in the show. I will say. I mean, I think it's interesting to see like kind of who enjoys the book and who doesn't. The people who are really like getting their life to the Hellfire politics versus the people who really just want to see them kind of like going around and like saving people on the ship and things like that. I wish there was a little bit more of a balance of that. I think we've been getting a lot more of it these last few issues, which is like why it's been a little bit more enjoyable than it usually is. But again, even at the end of this issue, we kind of see Emma and Shaw talking about Lord Chantel, who was like Shaw's girlfriend who died however long ago, and like trying to find a way to bring her back. And it's just like, okay, we're going back to the Hellfire politics. So it's like, again, and unfortunately for me, that's just not the part that I really want to read about. Though Lords is kind of given, so I might check it out.
Lourdes was given on that cover. I'm not gonna lie.
She looked good. Like she looked good. Yeah. We know I love it all. So
and Now I might be kind of into it because there's no way that Lourdes doesn't have something to say to Emma about her beating up her man.
Okay. Like they know how to keep you. They know how to keep you kind of.
Yeah, there's still some messiness there that'll keep you kind of excited, but as far as my favorite kind of characters in it, like they don't do anything. They just kind of are dressed.
And I think that, but I mean, I honestly, like, truth be told, I think that is the problem that a lot of the X books have across the line, is that we kind of focus on just like one character instead of the entire cast. And I get it, you know, in ensemble books, everyone has to kind of take their time to ebb and flow for the story arcs, and like we can have an Iceman arc, we can have a Bishop arc, we can have a Kitty arc, or whatever. I think in a lot of the books, it's just been like those two characters having the arcs though, and it's like, I get it, but also let's fix it.
That's not what I was told when you launched the book. You launched the book with a team. I want to see the team.
So
what would you rate this?
3.5 out of 5.
Okay.
Bishop and Storm look great too. Actually, no. Yeah, 3.5 out of 5. Just because, like, it was like I said, I think it was very well written. I think the story was great, but it just highlighted a lot of the things that I have been dissatisfied with in the book as a whole, and it just kind of took it down for me. So it's like I couldn't be fully satisfied by any of these Storm moments because it's like, well, what has she been doing the whole time?
Exactly. That's kind of why I give it a 3 out of 5. Same kind of reasoning where this didn't hit because you're trying to give Storm this send off and everyone is talking about, oh my gosh, we've had these great moments with you. But they're just these memories that they're recounting. Like, we haven't seen Storm do any of this stuff or anything like it in the entire book. She's just been flying in about around, throwing a lightning bolt, or she'll show up just to say she's got other stuff to do and she leaves.
Yeah. Even like the moment with the knives. It was like, oh, how many knives should she have? Like, yeah, it's a cool moment. It's like fun, but it's just like, okay.
Right.
I don't care about this.
I don't care about how many knives she got her. Yeah.
It's just like, and then I'm kind of looking, I'm like, girl, why you got all these knives anyway? Like, what's going on? She gives though. That's my girl.
Yeah, I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's still Storm. So like,
you know. You gotta give her what she's doing. That's my girl. So yeah, that's Marauders. I'm still, next month is the gala. All the issues of the gala next month. So I'm really interested to see where everything goes after that. Yeah, what happens with this team? Marauders.
Even the books I'm gonna read, I'll check them out.
Yeah. All right, and our final book of the week, Hellions number 10, and this comes from Zeb Wells and Steven Segovia. And this is the final issue of the Mastermind arc. I mean, not Mastermind. Well, Mastermind's in it too, but Arcade. Yes. The superior villain. The team kind of finally breaks out of Mastermind's illusions. They stop Arcade and they get to go. I will say that this issue is highlighting for me that this book is excellent. It is so well written. It has great humor. I think Wells' Sinister is perfect.
Fantastic.
Anytime you feel like he's being too silly, he does something and he reminds you, no, I'm crazy madman. I am the evil scientist. I will kill you.
He's still, no pun intended, sinister, even when he's funny.
Okay. And so that is great. I will also say though that it has highlighted for me that I do not think I will be continuing with this book. And
she's jumping off the train. Okay.
She's jumping off the train. And it's only because my brand is not represented here. I think all of the characters, what they're going through is, again, extremely well written. It makes sense. It fits. I just personally don't care about anyone on this team. Hey, there's kind of too many men on here.
Good point.
We need to chop it down. There's just a few too many men. But when I read Grey Crow, I kind of feel like I'm reading a Wolverine story that I've already read 100 times. I don't like Wild Child. I don't really care about Havoc. I don't really like Orphan Maker. And I think the most exciting person in the book outside of Sinister is Psylocke 2. And I was kind of invested in this book for her, honestly, to see how her story tied with Betsy, obviously. And everybody knows I'm a Betsy fan. I've been a Betsy fan since I started reading
Damn.
comics. Betsy has been Asian since I started reading comics. I have been dealing with Betsy and Quanon discourse my entire life. Okay, like I have been dealing with this my entire life, and so when they finally separated, I was always kind of ready to see that loop be closed of like, how do we finally separate these two characters and make them feel like their own? I felt it was time for Betsy to do that because obviously she wasn't in her right body, and I think Quantum as her own character deserved to be her own character. Now that I feel like I've gotten to this issue, Quantum finally feels like her own character away from Betsy. We see her dealing with going through the illusion where she kills a bunch of them throughout all the years. We've seen her in Excalibur kind of make her peace with Betsy. When she first came to the island in Fallen Angels, she was in a place of like anger and she was upset. So she made this deal with Sinister. But now here in Hellions, we've seen her grow and like come to care about her team and come to care about the people on it. And she's kind of finally starting to find happiness again and realizing that, oh, Krakoa actually can be a paradise if I let it be. And she made a deal with Sinister. And so it's like here she is being complicit in all of these bad things, and everything that she's kind of come to find joy in can all come crashing down. And I think that's like very exciting for her. I just don't think it's what I want to read about anymore.
Right. Because Betsy already did that.
Yeah. Like, so okay. Let's talk about it. No, I think no, you and I have like talked about my, I guess, like triangle of characters that I like.
Yes.
And we've got like the magic kind of horror vibes going on. We've got the fun girl, sometimes a fun guy. We won't got too many fun guys, but they exist every now and again. And then like at the top, there's like that hero archetype, but it's not like the altruistic hero. It's more of the epic hero. Like they're kind of like aspiring to do. They're kind of like aspiring to do these things. They like have a lot of big adventure. You kind of know that like at the end of the day, like no matter what they do, they're going to help people. They might not always do it in like the best terms, but they're going to help people. Quanon is a hero, but she falls into the tragic hero for me.
Yes. Yeah.
And unfortunately, the tragic hero is just like you said, I kind of already like went through that.
Yeah.
And so I think now when I look at Quanon, it's like, oh, okay, like again, you're your own character, you're doing your own thing, but the thing you're doing is just not something I'm invested in anymore. And that's how I feel about every character in this book.
Totally fair. Because I can agree with you as far as what your assessment is of Psylocke, and I do think that probably just comes with the name. I don't know if that is something that comes with the name or just that is what Quanon's arc has been now. Has been the I was angry, but now I'm like the tragic hero because I made this deal with Sinister. That could just be her story. So I understand completely what you're saying. I feel like I keep reading this just because the writing is really good.
Yeah.
Like none of again, kind of like what you said with your like triangle of characters. Mine is not here, you know, at all. There's no like energy manipulator telekinetic character, you know. There's nobody, and with you would think that I could maybe like Quanon because of I do like Elektra, but Elektra actually falls more into the kind of character that I prefer, which is they know who they are, they just aren't really sure exactly where they belong.
Yeah.
Quanon to me is still kind of finding herself in like her footing, you know, whereas I feel like she doesn't even really like comfortable still with like, you know, being a killer. Elektra has no problem.
Okay. She knows she's actually like, that's my first decision. She's like, that's my like killing you is my first choice actually.
Yeah, she knows who she is. She's just trying to figure out exactly where she fits. But although none of my like motifs are here, I do like the writing. It's pretty good. That Sinister.
The writing is great. The Sinister is amazing.
I hope we get a bigger, not necessarily a bigger roster, but a different roster. There are a lot of new villains that could be reformed. I expect Psylocke to stay and Havoc to probably stay, but the rest could probably go.
And I think that's my thing. I think there are just too many men on here. Like, Where's Fantasia? Where's Sienna Blaze? Where's Uniscion? You
Mm.
know,
Well, I mean, Scion, I wouldn't necessarily say was like a villain, right?
she was an acolyte. She can do
That's fair. That's fair.
it. Any of the acolytes. But again, that's just my personal taste. That's just me. Everyone knows I have very specific tastes.
Same.
Um, and I think the book is good, and it's one that I will continue to read. And I guess maybe that's what I should say. It's not that I want to drop it and like never read it again. I'll continue to read it on Marvel Unlimited. It's just
Okay.
not something. It's just not something that I feel like I need to pay for every month when I don't really like. Yeah, like I can see a review thread or see what people say on Twitter every now and again, and then when it hits, I can read it for myself at a later time, and I can spend my however much this comic book is on something else that I want to read.
Yeah. Well, the gala is coming up next, and
Oh, so I do have to pick up the gala issue.
I saw Exodus on the cover, so that means I'm in.
I'm picking up every X book for the gala,
Yeah.
so I don't miss any of that. But that will
I
probably
have no
be.
idea what's even going to happen at the gala or what is even about.
Uh, they're gonna unveil. I think the first 3 issues or so are probably going to be a lot of people arriving
Mm.
and just kind of like seeing the ins and outs of that and how they get through. Obviously, I think in the X-Force issue, it's going to be Wolverine versus Deadpool because Deadpool's trying to sneak in. So
Yeah.
we'll see that. I don't really think too much of the gala will probably start until like the 4th or 5th issue. We'll get the team. Maybe Magneto might do something that drives everybody crazy, which will eventually lead to his trial.
If they
I don't know what to tell you. It's just like
It's like, what did I do? What did I do? I had to have done something to somebody for them to keep doing this to my face, but we'll see. I'll definitely be checking it out.
yeah, it's gonna be good.
We'll see. We'll see.
Amazing.
I don't know if I'll agree with that. We'll see.
I love but Hellions is there. I would actually give this a 5 too.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah. I think the way that he ties the plot lines together makes
Hmm.
it work. You feel again, we've been talking about the writing the entire time. The writing is spectacular. You feel the emotions from the characters. You get it. It's just again like even Quanah, she's great. But I've just been dealing with Quanah and Bessie. It's like how you feel about Jean and the Phoenix, and how you kind of like just need a
Oh,
couple
never again.
years.
No, not a couple years. Never again.
I just need a break from the doll. She's great, but it's just like
Yeah.
I just need a. And then I need the rest of the cast to change too because I don't want to read about them either.
Hopefully that changes. We'll see if that happens.
um, unless Fantasia joins in like the next issue, then they've got me.
Mm.
That's it.
You always end up getting what you want, so maybe it is gonna happen. I
I
can see.
think I try and put out a lot of positive energy.
Mm,
I truly do. I
okay.
think that helps.
I need to see more of that.
I think that's the dream that keeps me going. But those were the comics this week. Let's go ahead. Let's take a break.
Let's do it. All right, everybody, welcome back to another relaunch. This time we're going to have a panel, and let's talk about something that I'm sure some of us have heard, and that is it's for kids. Now,
Hmm.
what I mean is, I'm sure people have heard the entire genre basically of superheroes and all this other kind of like sci-fi stuff is, oh, it's for kids.
Yeah.
And I feel as though that has kind of really evolved, and I wanted to just have like a discussion about that. Have you had lots of like, experiences with people calling this stuff for kids?
I mean, yeah. I mean, especially when I was younger. I'll never actually forget when I was younger. I was on the train and I had one of my comic books and I'm reading it, and this woman's next to me. She's like, "Oh, are you having fun with your cartoons?" And I just looked at her.
Like,
I was like,
bitch.
it's a graphic novel. Thank you.
I know that's right.
But yeah, I think it's something they see pictures and they see like the colors and things like that, and they feel like, oh, this is something that kids kind of go to. And I think a lot of people don't realize that comic books are a legitimate form of writing, and like a lot of these people have like degrees in literature and things like that, and or they just know how to do it, and it tells a story and it gets it out there. And I think they can be for kids, but they're not necessarily for kids. I think it's one of those things that you kind of have to monitor, like you do with anything else. Just the way parents let their kids listen to certain artists or music or things like that, you kind of got to do the same thing with your comic books. Some of them you're going to get a little bit more mature. You can get a Hellions, which on the surface seems very like lighthearted and fun, but then again, when you kind of get into the nitty gritty of the story and what's going on, you realize there are a lot of darker themes that's going on. Or you could read something like, I don't know if you ever read the Patsy Walker Hellcat book. It
No, I
was
didn't.
by Kate Leth and had art from Brittany Williams. That was an all ages comic book, you
Okay.
know, and that, because of just how the story is geared, and you can always feel the difference. Or even something like a Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur.
Hmm.
Like, yes, that is going to be a kid's comic book. Like, that's something that's all ages what they're going to go for. But I'm also not going to let maybe like my 6-year-old read Immortal Hulk.
Do you feel like that's just like the concepts are too grand or whatever, and it's too adult?
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily say too adult, but I do think that some of the concepts might pass them by. I mean, even the Immortal Hulk, it actually could just be that it is too adult. Like they talk about a lot of things like death and suicide and depression, and not everybody wants their kids to read something like that so early on, or they want to be the ones to explain it to them first before they start to get it from other places. So again, that's why I say it's kind of like music. You just got to monitor what you're doing, or what they're doing, or if they're young enough that you're introducing it to them when they are kids. Is this something that actually is for a kid?
Now, do you feel like every character has to be accessible to kids? Because I feel
No.
like sometimes, like, most of my faves are not. I think that most of my favorite characters are adults and make adult decisions in their life. So, like, they aren't necessarily for younger kids, but I don't think they have to be. Do you think that there have to be certain characters that are for kids, or does everybody have to be like for kids?
I don't necessarily think that they have to be. I do like that there are imprints where they can be, though.
Mm.
Because I think there are some characters who have like really great stories that seem a little bit more adult because they deal with things with like drugs, sex, and stuff like that. But again, do I want like my 5-year-old brother reading that? No. So I love that like I can maybe go to a Marvel section and they have created like an almost alternate unit. Well, it pretty much is like an alternate version of this character that is accessible for him. So it's like, oh, okay, you can kind of still get a little bit of what I experienced or like what I read, but at a more appropriate level.
Mm. What exactly would does something mean that's like for kids? Like when people call something and say, "Oh, that's for kids," why do you think that they say that A for comics or like
I think
superheroes in general, or why do you think that they say that about certain characters?
I think because there's more so of a theme that you're trying to convey. I think about myself, and like again, I've read comic books for a very long time since I was very young, and I've often spoke about how comics actually help shape a lot of my morality and
Mm.
like my ethics in life. I would see these heroes kind of going through these things and the way they made these decisions and how it happened. And like as I started to get into real life, I realized that, while it's fake in a lot of ways, a lot of the stuff is real, and a lot of like the pressures that you feel that you go through, that's going to do that. And so you really want to get that. And I feel like with kids, you still want to get that same type of thing to help shape them in a way, but at the same time, you don't want it to be, you don't want them to see that's because it's maybe like Moon Knight's getting drunk and slapping his girlfriend, and he's like on pills. Instead, he might do it because like we just see him stopping a bad guy, and he has to deal with like the morality of how he does it.
Yeah.
That's how I see kids. You just take away a lot of like sex and drugs.
I mean, that's not always the great. I feel like something can be for kids when you, I guess, kind of like what you said, where you kind of de-age it, I guess, by taking away the sex and drugs and stuff and make it more about the triumph for them. But I don't think that everything has to be geared towards kids, specifically this genre. I feel like so often it gets dismissed because it's in fantasy or whatever. Like, look at the way it's awarded, you know? Like, yeah. I'm not trying to say that, you know, Infinity War was on the same level as some of the Oscar nominated movies or whatever. But at the same time, I don't think that it's fair to say that it shouldn't be acknowledged for what it does bring to the table because it's based off of like superhero content or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that that's fair to say. And I feel like a lot of times this stuff gets dismissed because it's quote unquote for kids.
Yeah, I think that's just kind of something that the superhero genre as a whole is going to always have to face, because there are plenty of other properties that have been awarded that are actually based on comic books. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's like people don't, and people don't realize it. And I think that's the thing. I think that's what people get in their mind. They see comic book, or they hear comic book, or they think of comic book, and they think of superheroes, and they think of the Avengers and Superman and Batman and stuff like that. And it's like, no, there are literally comic books about everything. I used to read a comic book about fencing. It was just
that's kind of cool.
It's literally called Fence. It was literally about like a school of kids like who were just like learning how to be like fencing professionals, and like the stuff they went through with that. It was like one of the best things I ever read. You know what I'm saying? Like something like Gossip Girl was a comic book. You know what I'm saying? Or a graphic novel. Yeah, like a lot of these things exist in those mediums, but they're legitimate forms of writing. Again, people just don't know it because superheroes are popular, which is like, I get it, but I think that's just something they're always going to have to face.
That's unfortunate because I feel like they should be just as revered as other content, you know, just
yeah, absolutely. And it's like strictly for me just the art portion of it. These same people will write, like, think about when the X-Men movies came out, and they would just write an X-Men novel to go alongside the movie. Yeah, you add some pictures to it, it's just a comic book again.
That's true.
But like people would eat the novel up, but like the novel was like getting rave reviews, and like everybody was like, oh, like put it on this list and it's topping this chart. And it's just like, you just read the comic book. Like that's it. But I think that's also why I love it. I'm a visual person anyway. But it's not only is it a showcase to show someone's writing, but it's such a great artist showcase as well. And like everybody knows, the artists are the backbone of the industry. You know what I'm saying? Definitely. You obviously don't have a comic book without an artist. And I think it's such a great way to kind of like showcase them and put them at the forefront. I wish that artists were awarded a lot more. Drawing is a skill that I wish I had every day.
Same.
And people always tell me, they're like, oh yeah, you can just draw and like you'll get better at it. But I'm like, no, I can't. Like I've tried drawing a picture of a flower multiple times. It never looks good.
What is it giving?
And I don't know.
Not honestly. A flower.
Not a flower. I can tell you that much. But it's just like, but it's like the people. But I think I look at people who can draw, and I'm just like, yes, like, yes. I can never do that. Like that's even artists who I don't really care for. I say all the time, like it's still better than anything I would do.
Yeah, same.
Like it's a skill. It's great. But I think that's kind of what it has to go towards. You kind of got to like legitimize the artist a little bit more, and really say that like, yes, it may look cartoony, it may look whatever, but it's like no, they're like painting pictures for you. Like they're making some really beautiful things out here. and then it's going along with this amazing writing and these amazing stories. Like, how can you not enjoy it? It's a movie and a book.
Yeah, I agree. It is a legitimate art form, and like it should be recognized as like a media instead of something that is just for kids because it's bright, I guess. Or I think it's always been traditionally marketed towards kids because you get the kids into it, then the parents will go and buy it. But I feel like that, in my opinion, now is kind of backwards thinking because back then, of course, they were doing that because comics were literally just a new thing, like they were like a thing. But now, so many people who are like over the age of 21 read comic books now, and like, why wouldn't you market them towards the people who got money? Like,
I definitely think they should
market where the adults are.
But I think the marketing, again, like having some type of imprint to market towards the kids that you can put in like book fairs and like scholastics to like get them into it and start that, because I think that's a big thing that comes along with a lot of people in comic books. Like, so many people might want to get in it because they saw the movie or thing, but you look at a comic book and you see 80 years of history for this one character, and you don't know where to start, and you don't know what to do, and you don't know how to get into it, so it feels very overwhelming. At least if you were somewhat into it as a kid, again, the stories might not be completely accurate, but like you have some type of familiarity with what's going on or who this person is that helps you like stay with it a little bit more. And can branch off into other things. So I think that's always going to be something that should be done. Like, even if comic books themselves aren't for the kids, like there should still be a section that markets to them, because you want that demographic at the long run. That's how we got into it.
Yeah, I agree. And still though, I think today more so with animation, like there is a lot of stuff out there for people, not even just superhero animation, like anime and stuff for people to consume. But I feel like even that still gets dismissed as something that's just for kids, because people think of animation and they think of cartoons, which are supposed to be marketed towards kids. But I don't think that that's fair to say when the themes and stuff that are going on in them are just as deep as anything else that would be out there. I think it's a legitimate form of like content instead of something that is only for kids. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that everything has to be not for kids, The
kids gotta have something.
Kids gotta have stuff too, I guess. It's not like I'm trying to come in and take all your toys away.
They gotta have something. No, I get it. It can get a little frustrating at times because there are so many things that you really want to see succeed. Like, there's no reason that some of those superhero movies couldn't be nominated for awards or like get to do these things. And it shouldn't have to be because it's like a Joker and you stripped it back to this like very raw, visceral, nitty gritty type of thing. Like, it is okay for this to be bright and pretty and fantastic and fantastical and just kind of like still win. Because again, all the stories are fake anyway. Well, most of the stories are fake anyway. And even when you look at something like a WandaVision or a Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which were supposed to be such deep looks into the characters and kind of what they were going through, and you had phenomenal acting around. It's like, how can you look at something like WandaVision and see Elizabeth Olsen's performance and say like, oh, that was something for a kid? Like, no.
Because she got powers.
Because at the end, at the end, I'll give it to you. Yeah, like that was for the kids. Like, we had to have some fun. But like, even so, the story going up before. Which it's like, but even like as we're going through the story, it's just kind of like, no, like this is the story of a woman and her grief and her family, and that is like someone writing that. And I'll say that WandaVision did it a little bit better than it's been done in the comics for her, but that's also not to say that we don't have those type of stories for other characters in the books.
Yeah, I agree. And that, you make a good point about why couldn't a WandaVision compete with other things just because it's based off of a superhero or, a comic book character. And I think that that's not fair.
Yeah, like not at all. And it's crazy because even superhero genre like isn't the only one that gets it. The horror genre actually gets a lot of that as well. It's
Really?
like when you think of things like Get Out or what is the movie that I'm drawing a blank on right now? And it was like so popular with a girl, she had the little girl, her head got knocked off by the pole.
Oh,
Tony Collette's in.
fuck. It's I
Yes, you
was
know
gonna
which
say
one I'm talking.
Sanctuary. That's not right. That's not right at all.
I don't know why Sanctuary is taking me down.
Hereditary.
Hereditary, yes.
My fault.
um, yeah, like you watch something like Hereditary, which again is another story of like the mother and like kind of what they're going through and all that stuff. And it's like you think about how she was passed up for all those awards, and it's like why? Because there was like quote unquote like magic or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, so they share that in common. Like these stories are good. These stories have some of them have really great writing. Do I think every comic book movie deserves to be like nominated for an Oscar? No.
Absolutely.
Um, but there's maybe like a contender in there
Mm-hmm.
or a few.
There's enough in there to where it can be acknowledged that it's not just something
You
for kids.
you can nominate somebody for a Golden Globe, okay? They can get that at least. Like we can get that at least. I feel like, and I mean like not in the way that they get it for sound effects
Mm.
and visuals and costuming. It's like no, you can put Black Panther up for like Best Picture for a Golden Globe.
Do you think superheroes at this point should have their own like genre then at this stuff? Do you think they've just gotten too big?
No. And I only say no because a there's so many properties that are out that are based on comic books that like we don't realize,
Mm.
and B, I feel like even so the domination of the comic book genre in movies and TV really comes from like one group.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
It's
It's just gonna be them winning all the time, and that's not fair.
yeah. So it's just kind of like what else? What else do you want to do?
Yeah, it would become the MCU show at that point, so that's fair.
Yes. I mean, like if the MCU wants to have like their own awards for whatever they're doing within their universe, like I mean, sure, I guess go for it. Like that could be fun. Like if you have like, you know, you
Mm,
got my
that
number,
becomes a thing.
got my contact, contact. So, that could be like fun. Who's like your best actress in the MCU or like these movies and stuff like that. But for everyone to be involved in that, no,
Mm,
no.
yeah. All right. Well, that's all I really wanted to get to with this. I was talking about is this for kids and like our experiences with it. Definitely reach out to us and see what you guys have to say about it. How you feel about superheroes and their genre. Should they be for kids? Should it not be for kids? Should it still be accessible for kids? Let us know what you think. Let's take a break and then we'll come right back.
Boom. And we're back for another relaunch. Oh my gosh. I always say every time we come back to another relaunch, I'm always like, we haven't done a relaunch in so long, but so much be going on sometimes now. Like, but we are here for everybody's favorite part of the show, the relaunch portion. And I'm actually kind of excited about it. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
You can go first. Go first.
Okay, so I'm going first. Okay. So if anyone follows me like on social media, you know that I am obviously a huge X-Men fan. Even just by listening to the show, everybody knows I'm an X-Men fan. Like we know that. But there is one like specific franchise of the X books that I have been like waiting to return, and I don't think it's ever going to happen, or it's just like the people who should do it. I don't think anybody wants to do it right now, but I would like to see X Club relaunched. Okay,
Okay.
and so now when I talk about X Club on like Twitter and stuff, everybody's always like, "Oh, I don't want to see Dr. Nemesis and Madison Jeffries and blah 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 blah," and like that's fine, neither do I. Um,
That's where my head goes.
and it's like I get it, like that's what it was, but I think a lot of those people are kind of like being used in other places, or like a lot of the science type of characters have purposes beyond what X Club needs to be right now. I think that a big thing that this era has done for the X books is kind of like revitalize concepts. I think when we think of things like Excalibur and X Force and Marauders or whatever it's supposed to be, we kind of think of what they were. And one thing that this era has shown us is that what it was is not what it has to be now. These books can be anything as long as you kind of make it fit into what it is. And so my idea for X Force is it for it to be more of a research and exploration team. I think there are a lot of things that are going on in Krakoa with the habitats, villains like horde culture. I even think like when you think about Araco and the mutants, like who's eventually going to kind of get into that part of the island and see what's going on over there. Even on Krakoa itself, I remember in those early issues of X-Force, Beast was kind of traversing the island, and we saw like they had its own wildlife. Who's looking into that? Who's looking at those type of things? And that's what I would like to see X Club used for, is like this team that's like going out and getting to the bottom of all of that stuff, doing a little bit of adventuring. And so my team isn't necessarily made up of science people. I'll actually let you know who it is. I have it written down here.
Ooh,
The leader of this team is actually Iceman.
Ooh, I'm into
And
this already.
yeah, I kind of figured you would be. And I picked Iceman League. You and I have talked before about Iceman and how we just feel as though he needs to kind of step up a little bit, and he just needs that opportunity. I think X Club is the opportunity for him to do that, because they get to go on missions that are, they're going to be a little bit dangerous and hazardous. As an Omega level mutant, he'll probably be fine, especially in his ice form. And I think he's a character. Have you ever seen The Office?
Mm-hmm. Of course, I love those.
Okay, so you know the character Michael Scott, how he's kind of like the jokey guy. Everybody like nobody really takes him serious. However, you know that he is really good at what he does, and like when it gets down to like kind of learning what you need to know about him, like you can get that. And I feel like that's kind of the role that Iceman should start to take on a little bit. Like, yes, he's a jokey guy, but he has the experience. He's been around long enough. He knows how to do some of this stuff. He knows how to bring people together. Okay. Like he knows how to bring people together, and that's what he needs to start doing. And so joining him on this team would be, I do have two science, like a science person on there. I'm not gonna lie. It's CC Reyes. You need a doctor, and like you just need a doctor on your team. Obviously I have Trinery on there because she's great. You need her around, and then the rest of the cast is a little bit of a mix. Some, you gotta hit the D list every now and again.
Okay.
So we're gonna bring in Micromax. Micromax, he is a character who can grow in size. We just actually talked about that earlier. How I love that. He can, so he can like change his shape. He can shrink a little bit too, and so I think that's always good for like when you got those characters. Again, the Atom and things like that are very vital to teams. They can get into places that other people can't. There's the character Cypher, excuse me. The girl Cypher, the one who can turn invisible and intangible.
I like her. Yeah.
Right. I would bring in Toad for this team. Toad is actually like a really good mechanic. And I think Toad is just actually a really great character. I love Toad. I can't believe you don't love Toad. He's fantastic. He is one of the people, okay? Like he deserves. So I would put him on there. He's got like your mechanic knowledge. I would actually have Be the Blood Moon on this team, the other Cypher's wife. Just because, like I said, one of my intentions for this team would be for them to kind of like explore Araco, and for that I feel like you need one of those mutants on there. And the last member of the team, of course, is a shameless plug, but it would be Jesse Bedlam. And he's kind of like the muscle of the team because he knows karate. He's a fighter, but then he's also, with his powers, he's the one like when they need to get into certain places, if they need to like get away from detection of some sort or need things to malfunction, he's the guy who can do that. And of course, I'm going to put him in everything. But this really came about. I was watching Prometheus. Have I ever told you how I don't like Prometheus, but I actually watch it all the time?
No, I like that movie.
It is like such a frustrating movie for like reasons I will not get into right now. However, it like fits the tone of all the movies that I really like.
Mm.
Like, but it's just like a thing. But I was thinking about that team, and I was like, yeah, a lot of times when people get these things, or they're going to explore planets and stuff like that, the team isn't just made up of like all science people. Like you have a weapons expert who's got to protect everybody. You've got your engineers. You got all of this. You got all of that stuff. So I think that's what X Club needs to kind of embrace and take forward into the new era. And that's my relaunch.
Okay, get into some X Club. I like that. I would obviously be in. You got me off the Iceman, so and I do think
Mhm.
a research team exploring more would be great. I love the exploration adventure type characters and those kind of books. So
Yeah,
I would be in. That sounds great.
that's what I
Um,
feel. That's
okay,
what
so
I
my relaunch is one I kind of touched on before, and it involves Goliath, Tom Foster. I think before I
feel. Okay,
had
I
relaunched
remember
him, I
this.
told you I was gonna like bring him back around and kind of have him work with some of the villains, but he would like end up turning and going back into being a hero.
Yeah.
So the team I would have him with though is the Lethal Legion, and the Lethal
Hmm.
Legion is a team of villains who are ran by Grim Reaper, and Grim
Oh,
Reaper is Wonder
with my
Man's
drink.
brother.
With my drink. As soon as I heard Grim Reaper, I was like, it's coming.
So yeah, I would have him come back around. I honestly feel like there aren't a lot of like high profile villains around right now. I feel like they keep bringing in like these kind of major one-offs for everyone to kind of fight, but there aren't like villains who are just out like
Yeah.
out there for heroes to also kind of fight,
Yeah.
since so that they can also get back to being heroes and getting into some action. So I would love to have the Lethal Legion come back around, have Grim Reaper be the leader again, and but this time I would change the team around. I would have Goliath, but as Tom Foster.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
I would have Living Laser, but I would give him a daughter and
Okay.
make her a mutant, have her give her powers
Come on, mutants.
just like her dad, where she can kind of, shoot these lasers off and turn into a laser. And then the other member of the team was Whirlwind, the mutant who could like spin really fast and turn
Hmm.
and like shoot things out. I would give him a daughter as well and give her the new name of Whirlwind and make her like give her wind powers. And
Hmm.
her and Living Laser, she just go by Laser, would be like girlfriends. And
Oh, let's go,
they
lesbians.
but they would be like, villains.
We love evil women. Have you ever? There was like a skit. I think it was SNL, but they were talking about they had two police officers or whatever investigating the string of murders, and the woman's talking about how horrible it is, and they were like, "Oh, well, the murderer is actually a woman," and she's like, "Oh, wow." Think about how strong she had to be to like lift these guys up and like slit their throats and do all this stuff. So it's like it's fine. We get
I love
it.
it. I mean, T.
Yeah, it's just like, oh wow. It's like you think like, man, this is so horrible, and then they're like, oh no, it's a woman. It's just like, oh,
Okay,
okay,
for her.
yeah, yeah, I get it.
um, so yeah, I would have the two of them kind of become the new versions of their dads, but
Mm,
they were mutants and villains and girlfriends.
I'm into it.
All of them and by Grim Reaper. And Grim Reaper, I would still have his powers as like they're kind of based in magic and they're kind of necromancy. He can bring people
mhm,
back to the dead, and then he's also has like his magic scythe that he could like blast people with and stuff. So
okay.
yeah,
I mean, I'm always down for a good villain team. I love a good like. So I remember how I was talking about that book Nocterra earlier.
yeah.
Um, even though I was like, it's kind of depressing, the villain in it, you can tell he like enjoys what he's doing. Like he's having such a good time. So it's like when I just have like a good villain who's kind of just like bad and like they're fine with it, I'm here for it.
That's Grim Reaper, and that's what I want for the Lethal Legion. So I
Yeah,
would love to see them back around and relaunched.
it's exciting. Okay, I'm into it.
All right, y'all. So that brings us to the end of the show. Make sure you check us out anywhere online at Another Relaunch. We're on Twitter. You can send us emails at anotherrelaunch@gmail.com. You can reach me at @AnCunnyLZ. I'm mostly on like everything. I'm still trying to get that down for my PlayStation name, but I haven't been able to land it yet.
Do you play Outriders?
I don't. Should I?
You should get.
Is that something I would like?
You should get it. I've been so I know it got like a lot of bad press. Like I saw a lot of people talking bad about it on social media. I don't really know what it was about. If it was just like glitching games in the beginning, because every game that's come out in the last 2 years has had horrible glitches in the beginning. But I've been playing and I enjoy it, and they have crossplay.
Oh. Okay,
Yeah,
maybe I'll get into it.
Don't get the pyromancer power though. So like, there's different classes. There's like a trickster who's like the stealth assassin. Obviously, that's the one I picked. And they have some space control powers. There's a pyromancer, a technomancer, and something else like a guardian. I think they're like strength. But I played with a pyromancer. Awful ability. Awful ability.
Oh no. Okay, well then might have to get that then, because that sounds like I would like it.
Yeah. It's definitely up your alley.
Yeah. Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna check it out. Where can they find you, Keenan?
You can find me on most social media at Keenan Lance. You know there's an underscore at the end.
Yes.
Or to contact me so we can play Outriders if you play.
All right, y'all. Let's get up out of here because I'm getting hungry. All right.
I'm hungry. I'm trying to decide if I want Popeyes or Chipotle.
Oh. I go Popeyes.
Find out next time.
All right, y'all. Peace.